We're going to be rounding up all the major news from the latest Ubisoft Forward event. That includes new games, major updates, as well as addressing the topic of Stadia being abandoned by Ubisoft. There's a lot to break down here, so let's get to it. Now, to kick things off, I just want to let you all know of an incredibly sweet offer for Ubisoft Plus. From now until October 10th, you can get Ubisoft Plus for absolutely free by just signing up. That means you get access to Ubisoft's entire catalog of games available on cloud platforms and services, as well as PC. And yes, even if you've signed up for a free trial before, you qualify for this promotion. Absolutely everyone does. So if you've been waiting for a sweet deal to check out one of the newer Ubisoft titles, this is it. And now that you know about that, let's move on to the updates for games already out or coming soon. Longtime staples in the Ubisoft catalog such as The Crew 2, The Division 2, Brawlhalla, as well as Riders Republic and For Honor are all getting updates. I won't break down every single one of them as they're kind of the standard fare of a few new things such as weapons, tracks, cars, the likes. Instead, I want to focus more on the title that's arriving next month, and that's Skull and Bones. They showed a new gameplay trailer as well as talking about the type of things you can do within the game. I'll do my best to summarize this, but basically there's a ton of progression within the title. You'll be able to upgrade, unlock, and customize your main cannons, secondary weapons, and ship hull. Each of these come with multiple selections to choose from, and each one has a pro and con depending on what you're trying to go up against. For example, take the cannons, which have a short, medium, and long distance range option, while also having separate element damage types for each. It's important to once again remind everyone that this game is definitely going more toward an arcade playstyle rather than a simulation one, so expect a lot more fast-paced action. And I say arcade because one of the elemental types apparently is healing. Now when it comes to actually customizing your ship in particular, you have 3 classes to choose from: cargo, navigation, and combat. Each will excel in their own way and certainly dictate how you choose to play. For example, cargo ships have increased weight capacity, meaning you can store more loot. Navigation ships are fast and agile, and combat ships, as you can imagine, have more space for more weapons to engage in combat. There's also a whole ton of vanity items to really customize your ship and make it your own, including a pet that will be by your side while you're steering left and right. Now when it comes to actual combat-based gameplay, there will be ships going around the sea that have loot that you can steal. There will also be forts in the water with a ton of loot to plunder, but as soon as you engage with them, expect them to call in reinforcements. And then it's up to you to decide whether you escape with what you've got or whether you want to try and fight for more loot and risk it all. Personally speaking, I think the game looks like fun, but I'm a bit worried about how it's gonna perform. It's also a very different game than what was initially shown in 2018, which seemed to be more focused around the PvP arena type of experience. Ubisoft is promising years of support, so they see it as another live service style game. But let me know what you think of Skull and Bones. Is this a title you're excited for? But now let's move over to the quick update they gave us about Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland. And it was just a quick look at it. We only saw a few moments of gameplay. They told us it was a survival take on The Division and that we would be protecting and playing within this new place called Silver Creek. In terms of the story, it is being included into the overall Division timeline and it will introduce new characters and stories. And that's all we were really shown. I gotta say I was pretty disappointed this time around, simply because this game got announced a year ago and we barely saw much of it. And even after seeing it here, we still barely know what's exactly going on. I'm sure myself and many other Division fans are really hoping this is built upon the survival mode that was introduced with the Division 1, but at this point in time, we barely know much more than what we knew before. Interestingly enough, the Division Heartland is listed for consoles, PC, and cloud platforms. More on why that's interesting in just a bit, but for now, let's move over to the new games that just got announced. I want to begin by just quickly mentioning Just Dance 2023 edition. I won't be showing gameplay or talking too much about it because of copyright strikes. But yes, it's been announced and this time you can compete in online dance sessions to see who's the best all around the world. This title will be available on Stadia, but at a later date than the release platforms. Following that, we got the announcement that Trackmania will be arriving on consoles and cloud gaming platforms. It's expected to drop early 2023, and it's a free-to-play racing game with over 280,000 player-made tracks. Simply put, I've played this a ton on PC. It's an absolutely fantastic game. If you enjoy cars and you like Trials, definitely give this one a shot. It's pretty much like Trials, but instead of riding a bike, you're driving a car, and it's just as crazy in terms of obstacles. Also, a very important detail about this title in particular is that console and cloud will launch alongside crossplay and cross-progression for the game. And finally, the last title announced at the Ubisoft Forward that actually had release platforms alongside it was Assassin's Creed Mirage. This seems to be more of a callback to the earlier Assassin's Creed games that focused more on a linear story. It takes place in 9th century Baghdad and centers as a coming-of-age story for Basim from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Ubisoft themselves describe it as an homage to the first Assassin's Creed games. So it's definitely going to be a smaller game in scale compared to your typical Assassin's Creed release of today, but hey, honestly, I think that's a good thing. I really do miss this style of Assassin's Creed game, and I'm extremely excited to play it. Mirage is expected to drop in 2023. This is far from the only Assassin's Creed title that was announced, but we really didn't see too much and didn't even get release platforms or release year. Thus, I'll wait to actually talk more about the future titles because chances are they're going to change a lot in development from here and then. Instead, I think it's time I address the elephant in the room, and that's the release platforms for Assassin's Creed Mirage. As of right now, the official News Ubisoft press site states that Mirage is going to be landing on Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PS5, PS4, PC, and Amazon Luna. And that's it, apparently. So far, Google Stadia is not confirmed as a platform for Assassin's Creed Mirage, but I did say apparently because there is a bit of confusion going on here. Some web pages at first did mention Stadia, but then were removed. And as you can imagine, the Stadia community freaked out. And to be honest, I'm not surprised, it's kind of concerning. After all, Assassin's Creed Mirage would mark the first big Ubisoft title to not arrive on Stadia if true. It's also worth pointing out that Assassin's Creed is Ubisoft's most profitable franchise. Now, I've already seen plenty of crazy conspiracies going on online. I think the idea that Amazon Luna paid off Ubisoft to keep it away from Stadia doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. Amazon Luna is still only available in the United States, they don't actually sell games individually, they sell subscriptions. And really, nothing else that Amazon Luna has done as of recent really makes it feel like they're in a position where they need to buy any sort of exclusive. I've also seen a lot of people say that this is the end of Ubisoft's support for Stadia or that they're abandoning Stadia, which I also think is really crazy to see. After all, they just announced Skull and Bones, Just Dance 2023, and Trackmania coming to the platform. Now, some of you may have noticed that I didn't mention The Division Heartland, and that's because as of right now, the official wording from Ubisoft is that it's coming to cloud platforms. But as far as I'm aware, that pretty much only includes Stadia and Luna. So I'm almost assured that it's probably coming to Stadia, and I've also heard some leaks that people have been playtesting a Stadia version already. I have no way to confirm that myself, but I wouldn't be too surprised. Now, the last thing I want to address here is the concern about GeForce Now not being listed on any of the release dates. And my simple response to that is that GeForce Now is absolutely not a platform, it's a service. And while I'll always advocate for official word from either Ubisoft or GeForce Now themselves, if there's a PC version of a Ubisoft title, I would probably expect it to have GeForce Now support. And before people start talking about the fact that GeForce Now isn't listed in any of the press releases, I need to point out that GeForce Now themselves tweeted out the event before it started, which more than likely implies that some of those games are coming to GeForce Now. Also, in case you didn't know, this is just for the benefit of those using GFN. If you subscribe to Ubisoft Plus, you don't actually need to pay for the streaming tier, you can just pay for the Ubisoft Plus PC tier and it'll work on GFN. So be sure to save yourself some dollars if you don't plan on playing on Stadia or Luna. But now I want to give you my take, and I'm gonna try and be as reasonable as possible. Does it concern me that Assassin's Creed Mirage doesn't have a Stadia listing right now? Yeah, a bit, but by no means should you be freaking out at this point in time. Just wait for clarification. Obviously, a mess up has happened here. Whether it's for or against Stadia doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I'm sure Ubisoft will fix it and clarify. I personally imagine it will make its way over to Stadia at some point, maybe later, just like Just Dance 2023. But even if it doesn't, it's not really the end of the world. Just wait and see. This game's not coming out till probably the second half of 2023 anyways, so there's still a lot of time. I'll wait to discuss the absence of a game like Mirage from a prominent publisher like Ubisoft and the effect it would have on Stadia, and if it actually gets confirmed not to be on the way. But regardless, somebody's messed up at Ubisoft with all the random places that you can find Stadia listed or unlisted, and because of that alone, I'm sure it'll be clarified sometime soon. And with that, we'll wrap up this cloud gaming news day. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. If you haven't already, be sure to join our community Discord, links in the description below. And as always, thank you for watching, I hope you have a great day. This has been the Virtual Cloud, giving you the latest and greatest on everything cloud gaming related, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.